I saw Ernesto Valverde win the Champions League with Benfica, so we copied his tactic. A 4-2-3-1, controlled possession, lower block, and more. If plan A isn't going to work all the time, the reliable plan B was required. So players came and went. That included the highly disliked Vitek being replaced by Plazari. Lazaros took over the Greek competitions due to Chroocrates' age, while the old man focused on Europe. Marseille, RB Salzburg, and Shakhtar Donetsk were defeated, while Atletico Madrid ended in a draw. But they also faced PSG, managed by Ernesto Valverde.
I'm Ernesto Valverde. I'm a football manager.
Abelardo left for Spain prior to last season, so Conceição arrived. However, with him losing the Champions League final, he cried off to Inter, while Ernesto got his chance to coach one of the best teams in the world. It was a little awkward copying his formation and then using it against him, but in our home encounter, we beat them, thanks to Casemiro. I should explain that. Since Benfica had old man Eriksen, I thought I needed a washed Manchester United player, and the Brazilian was available on a free to play his last season. Aris were second after 5 match days, and with Red Star Belgrade and Sporting being the next 2 matches, I'm sure you watching expect our first ever top 8 finish. Oh, how I wish the following was a joke. We were 3-1 up against Crvena Zvezda, but in the final 10 minutes, they scored twice, leaving me stunned. Then versus Sporting, where we were still in a good spot, we got back from conceding a first half goal thanks to Nyambe. 2 from this generation's Alvaro Diaz, which should have been enough to give us a top 8 spot. Instead, a free kick in the 90th minute landed eventually to the free kick taker, Lucas Torreira. And this little shit scored. Another draw. But we remained in the top 8. So who do we play?
You know what's gonna happen.
The worst thing about this scoreline was that we were actually winning. Doué got us our goal, but Arsenal turned up the heat in the second half, seeing Martinelli and Goretzka each grab 1, sending us to the playoff round again. To make it all worse, Nyambe was sold for 11 million!
Oh my god!
The only reason he kept staying with us for so long was because we kept offering new contracts to him every 6 months, but each time, he inserted a release clause. I would have tripled his wages if he got rid of it, but his agent was playing a smart game. By December, teams began their interest, and he wasn't going to renew. So now this 11 million transfer of a player is worth over 100! I want to cry. In the playoff round, we played Tottenham, and I was confident we could defeat them since Napoli whooped their asses last season. Instead, we crumbled in a span of 11 minutes, conceding thrice and not scoring in the second leg until the 91st minute. I couldn't believe it. Meanwhile, Spurs, like Napoli, also went on to the semis and lost to PSG.
Is he dead?
They would defeat Arsenal in the final on penalties. How did Lazaros do in the domestic competitions? Well, I had to intervene for him, since his point total on the last day was the lowest the club has seen since our first league title. Thankfully, we did win it by 1 point. But next season, no more of this back 5 bullcrap, Lazaros. We did reach the Greek Cup final. It's best not to speak about it though. No, really, I don't need to see these 3 goals again. Normally, these seasons will be separate videos. However, since the vast majority of the games become too simple when I play, we became the meme of suffering from success. Winning league titles, consistently qualifying for the Champions League, being able to buy some of the best young players in the world, and maybe having the best Greek League team of all time. With over 100 million in sales, including this lad being sent to PSG for almost 40 million, we were set for a fun summer. Plazari would be sold and replaced by the loan of Marco Carnesecchi. Why would Chelsea loan him? Because, for some reason, Liverpool sold Alisson to them. Regardless, Zaire Emery came in on a 20 million transfer after he spent a season on loan with us, while his left back was also on loan to compete with Tony Lato. Then I realized Lato wasn't good enough and he was sent on loan in January, replaced by another loan of Thomas Sandoval. Then arrived Nyambe's true replacement, Jan Palvaneka from Tottenham at 40 million. He joined to pair with Lacroix, who arrived last season after Nyambe's exit. We also had a pair of Brazilians, Ribeiro Soares, who was bossing Brazil, and Nuau Endrick. He definitely isn't the Endrick, whose face was accidentally replaced by a new Gan face pack. The final player was a Nigerian bought years ago, who spent time alone at Panathinaikos. With this group joining Conan, Due, Moriba, and Diogo, the team would finally get its first top 8. Despite getting wrecked by set pieces in Holland, the results overall were great. Only drawing to Manchester United because of a corner, defeating AC Milan away from home, don't worry about that red card. Plus, we even defeated Arsenal for the very first time. A more defensive version of the 4-2-3-1 was paying off, and despite getting stunned by Fenerbahce, we defeated Dinamo Zagreb and Salzburg to finally claim an automatic route to the round of 16. That is where Juventus walks in. The old lady has only won a single Scudetto since 2020, but had a fast defense, a solid midfield, and a strong strike force featuring Vlahovic partnering with an impressive Mateus Cunha. Despite that, I thought our club was good enough to reach the quarters. Conan was scoring goals, Due and Lazo were doing their thing, Moriba put in great performances, and now Endrick couldn't do anything wrong. Although I didn't mention any defenders. And that's because our center back pairing were still getting to know each other. It was 0-0 at the break, but in a 6-minute span, yes, Due, you were the best. No, Due, you were the worst.
Vlahovic is in here, and of course he scores.
We then had an opportunity. No! Cleared off the line. About 5 minutes later, who knew in 8 years Allegri could actually manage a high-pressing side? In comes another signing from last year. Chilean Andros Rosas walks on, and not long after his introduction, he gets a goal back. A 2-1 loss would have been fine, but we were pushing for an equalizer into the added minutes. What a pass! Beautiful! No! That explains the 10 finishing. A single shot on target, but the team were expected to score in the second leg. Chances arrived, but Due missed. Manolas blocked Moriba's sure goal, then Manolas sold. I should mention Vlahovic casually smacking the bar from 30 yards out. Nevertheless, why was Manolas in for Conan? Because the Barbarian sprained his knee ligaments less than a month before the tie. He was on the bench, but could only play 45 minutes. 47 it is. In the second half, a barely fit Conan couldn't deal with Juventus' athletic back line, KGB. But we did enough to score a goal, and late on, Rosas once again showed his 10 finishing. With only 2 minutes of added time, the ref blew the whistle and ran out quicker than the flash. Yet, we have ourselves to blame. Napoli, I can understand. This was on us. While Lazaro's got his shit together to win the league, it's not enough. A positive is that Aris finally won the Greek Cup in a solid display over Volos, but European pain still lingers. Now 83 years of age, Chroocrates was getting recommendations to step down. This stress isn't good for your health. You need to go to the retirement home. Enough! I will resign from the Greece national team.
Wait, you were there?
There was nothing notable, so you don't have to show any of the results. Why did you have to show that one? Let's do one more campaign. The outsaw veterans of the squad Infantino and Liza leave on a free, while Morgalla was sold due to a lack of playing time. Infantino, by the way, feels like he's Greek. Morgalla does not. Another exit was Tony Lato, sold back to Braga in what was a poor piece of business. On the ins, we put our club in bankruptcy, seeing us buy our loans of Carnesecchi and Sandoval. We also bought Christopher Ayer to have an actual defensive midfielder who is good at marking and tackling. Now Endrick returned to Madrid to ride the bench, so he was replaced by Evo Ferreira. Over the course of the summer and season, several players became unhappy due to interest from across Europe. Yet, they still performed well, despite their future potentially being elsewhere. It was a tough league phase in Europe though, which saw us finish in 18th. The playoff round gave us Leipzig, a side we lost to in the league phase 2-0 away from home. The 4-2-3-1 was used in that fixture, so after a few years, I reverted to the backwards-sided pound tactic. We were facing a former friend, Arda Güler and Sakopolis, the guy we sold to PSG. With the first leg at home, Evo opened up accounts, but it was Conan who dominated, nabbing a brace to help earn a 3-0 advantage. The Dutchman continued to help out, but the second leg was Ribero's, where off the bench, he earned a brace himself, confirming our place in the round of 16 and putting tears in Güler's eyes. So in the round of 16 draw, we kept seeing our name not get picked. It got to the 7th match, where we finally came out, and our opponents would either be Leeds or PSG. No! It was back to the Valverde tactic. Similar to the side you've seen in previous years, but with Veloso, Morton, and an interesting pair of defenders. Like the previous encounters, we were hosting first. The home ties have always been fine, and with us playing counter-attacking football, we would be scoreless at the break. And nothing to talk about until the 76, where Zaire Emery found Evo on the wing, he gets it to Lazo in the box, finds Elias, who shot deflects to the just subbed on Ribeiro. Incredible blocks before the final whistle prevented us from extending the lead, but a successful start. However, we know how these second legs go against them. Early goals, and a lot of them. Was there anything I could do, or did I have to hope for a lucky dice roll? 5 minutes in, it was 0-0.
Mission complete!
In all seriousness, we did have a huge early opportunity, but Due took a touch too many. Van Hecke then had to make this clearance off the line. Sadly, an errorless fixture couldn't be avoided, as Ribeiro makes a questionable pass, leading to an easy ball to Abde, equalizing the aggregate. However, this wasn't the same PSG of years ago. They were actually allowing us a chance in this, but Conan couldn't take it. But he would take the next. What a pass by Due, and we were one half away. All right, the dice roll. He had to show up, bringing the nerves back. Don't you fear though, with some subs, our counterattacking plan was going to work. Soares. To Zaire Emery. Conan! Go! The Parisians were panicking. I mean, look who they subbed in. Still, they're dangerous, and Dedic nearly made Diogo look silly. Nevertheless, with the team dropping off more, the time ran out. We finally defeated PSG in the knockouts. It felt like winning the whole damn tournament, but overcoming our demons was only enough for a quarterfinal encounter with Arsenal. Even if you include PSG, the Gunners have defeated us more than any other club in Europe. The great news was that Saliba and Saka were out. Yes, the Gunners are strong, and while there were weaknesses, they nearly won the Champions League 2 seasons ago. You can't take them lightly. The first half was quiet outside of this woodwork hit, but things were beginning to move in the second. A quick counter led to Mariba's shot being blocked, but Rodrigo was wide open to tap home the garbage goal. Offside? Oh no, Conan blocked the goal, and he was the one called for the offense. Wow. Unlucky, but we didn't give up. Some adjustments were made to the instructions. Cross in, not good enough. Sando. A slim lead heading into the Emirates. Our last visit there was a 2-1 loss. Even a score like that would keep our chances alive, and we're a better team since then. At the same time, Juventus was on our side of the bracket. They had an impressive away win versus Bayern, and we're on verge of the semis. And if we get past the Gunners, we could get revenge against the old lady. If that goes to plan, Spurs have a chance to reach the final, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Arsenal is the task at hand. Nerves were high, and they were showing. The amount of work we needed to score 1 at home, Arsenal did it in 4 minutes. You don't want to get the Emirates roaring, but that's exactly what's happening. It got even worse a few moments later when Diogo shoved Martinelli for a penalty. Old PSG vibes returned. But we didn't have Vitek in net as Karaneshki stopped Gabriel Jesus. The warning sign was there though, and I tried my best to get the team back in the game. I didn't know it at the moment, but this Due opportunity was going to be one of our only chances. All squared with 45 minutes left, the best hope was pushing it into extra time or hope for a break. Arsenal weren't budging though, getting closer and closer as the clock ticked. Musa ends up with the ball, and an unfortunate deflection to Gabriel Jesus leads him making the right decision, letting someone else get the glory. Aris had to get out of their shell, but the players who were big for us weren't stepping up. A final plan from Secrets Unknown was used, but instead of an equalizer, Arsenal found a third, and the adventures of Chroocrates ends here. Arsenal were just better, but that can't take away everything achieved and overcoming our demons. A great narrative was there to beat PSG, Arsenal, Juventus, and Spurs to win the Champions League. At the very least, Greece's best ever manager will be remembered as a legend. Wait, Rakov's above him? What the? One last thing, thank you to my Patreon supporters. To those under the Continue the Journey tier, you can now do that with this save.